from the public? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Item 4, public comments. No one here from the public. Item 5, discussion, public hearing, June 11th. I just put this on the agenda in case anyone wanted to make any comments based on the public hearing. Anyone?
I thought the tone was positive amongst the group or the crowd, the citizens, all 25 or so that showed up. It was wonderful, really.
And I got feedback that they appreciated everyone taking one of the questions and speaking about it.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was just a presentation, but...
Yeah. Excellent. That's good.
Yeah.
It's nice when, I think, when everyone, this group, people have adopted a specific question and they've become the resident expert on it, and no better person to present than the person that's drove the process for each question. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a real positive public hearing. And may that good thought momentum carry through the rest of the process. Okay, item 6. I added additional recommendations. Item A was an email conversation that Terry and I had based on feedback received at the public hearing. So that's why it's there, increasing the number of selectmen. So it was more of, do we have any desire as a group, to tackle more?
That was I recall that being made. I think Ralph Williams made it, and one of his last things that he said in his sentence was, I suppose that's an argument for another day. Mm-hmm. And I totally agreed. I was nodding my head to him. That's why I remember that. So that's my opinion. It's something that should be considered. If we, in fact, adopt town administrator and we see how that works, maybe then that we decide we need 2 additional. I just think it's an argument for another day. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I share that opinion. I think that we did our due diligence on everything that we've approved, and this would be just because it came up, we're rubber stamping it, and I think we lose the credibility we probably have, because I think one of the reasons why it went well on the 11th is they could tell when you talked, Terry, that you had done background work. You did an excellent job, very factual, but I think the sense was they're not just making this up, they've done their homework. When I talked, I tried to reference the effort I put into it, and someone brought it up. I think it should be studied, and I think we're just out of time.
It's also putting the cart before the horse, right? So what if they don't approve the town administrator and have
Right.
let's have 5 selectmen,
practical.
So I think
right.
But then other people are saying that, okay, we're taking away the town clerk as an elected possibly, so this would be putting in more elected officials too, so that it would be governed more by the people.
I agree with everyone here too. I think as far as credibility is concerned, everyone did their due diligence when they answered the questions, and I think people recognize that. And I think, like I said, rubber stamping it or just pushing forward because someone indicated that. I think that's not what we were charged with initially. So
it wasn't just one person, though.
Right, other individuals. Right. And I think there's ability to that. I really do. But I think for us, I think we've done what we were tasked to do. So, yeah.
Could we add it into the report for them to consider, the selectmen to consider?
No, I don't think so.
I would be against that.
I don't think you do that. It was a comment that was made, and we have a decision. You want to vote on it, whether or not you want to consider it. You can do that, but I don't think.
Just like we did for the ordinance, for consideration, it was brought up by the public, just for the selectmen to consider, not for us. I don't know. Just.
I don't see it as the same.
Or is that like the ordinance?
I think that would be charter revision at some, at some point. And I'm in the agreement where, we still have a question out there of going to an administrator or not. And so, say, absent the administrator question, would we be proposing to go to 5 selectmen? So it's a, to me, I see that it's a step process.
Exactly.
Once these 5 questions are approved and a new group is formed, it should be something that's taken up.
And I think it's more like if they're approved, because the track record isn't great.
I was just being
yeah.
broad.
No, but I just
Right.
I hope they are.
And they are a big
I
if.
hope
And
they
so, because you could have, how about if you wound up adding a question, right? Saying, increase the Board of Selectmen to 5 members, and then everything else fails. So it's like, did we accomplish what we wanted to accomplish? I mean, I got to think, coming from another town with 11 council members to come to a town with 3, just the amount of work and the constituency work that you have, and what's the Board of Ed size here?
9.
9. Yeah. So that's a good size. So at least you share in all of the
Right.
work that has to go on in the committees and things like that. So,
Right.
Okay. So my sense is, well, it's there. Plus, we can always have. They're going to hold a public hearing. We could raise it. Hey, this was an item that was brought up. Keep it in mind for future. The other, so we did get an email today, but our resident expert, I believe, has already
Fixed it.
corrected.
I responded to this email
Yes.
to him. And it's already in.
Right.
He's already edited it out. He spoke to me about this early on, so I think he might have forgotten that. And I took his suggestion and I actually acted on it. And so now he sends this out. And I told him it was already done. He said fine. So
Okay.
he said good job to the both of us. So yeah.
Excellent. Are there any other recommendations? I'm one that always leaves, it's the possibilities on the table, right? Because we asked, okay? All right, so we're going to move from item 6, working session, review and finalize draft report to the Board of Selectmen, including recommended charter language changes and explanatory text. And Mike did a draft of the letter, the revisions, the various revised drafts of the 5 questions. Sent it to me, I reviewed it. I think I changed a couple of things on the letter, my recommendations, but then sent it back out and forwarded it to the committee. So have you read through? Do you like it? Is there anything that needs to be changed in, say, the draft report, which would be our summary?
just a question, process-wise, who did the red line?
I did the red line. You didn't get red line copies?
Yeah, I got red line, but I printed it out.
This is everything Carl reviewed. I haven't changed anything other than what he
That
suggested.
way
So he was involved in
I
that.
don't have
I would, if you would, maybe we should run it by him one more time. I ran that question number, was it 4, the one I have? I sent that to him. I think I copied Scott on that email. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. I changed the question because everybody kept saying that the question was too complicated.
I think
they
it's
didn't
too long.
understand it.
Yeah.
Now you think the question's too long, and now
I don't know.
I'm trying to clarify it and make people understand.
Well, when you presented it, it was like go from 20 to a percentage. Could you just say that percentage, or is that?
Well, I think it's we say it in the explanatory
Right.
text.
Because I'm just thinking, I'm looking even at myself walking into an election and looking at the question, and the less I know about it, the longer it is, the more
I'll
likely
tell you
I'm
what
going to
my
say
process
no.
was. I took the first question and I had a piece of paper like this, and I had about 9 different questions. I couldn't decide which one to do,
Okay.
and so I thought that was the best one. But I don't have any ownership. If you think you can come up and phrase that better, I was just worried that people weren't going to understand it, so I know it's the so I actually looked it up and said, is it okay to have a 2-sentence question? And it said it is okay to do that as long as it's clear.
I wonder, rather than say calculate, just put percentage.
Okay.
Because I liked
Because
it when you
cal-
presented it.
Right,
It
because
was like,
calculated to me, that I
Percentage.
don't understand. Percentage, I do understand.
Okay.
yeah, because
So,
because inflation and this 20 grand goes back to, the olden days, but a percentage just stays as,
See, and I think if we're going to go to question 4, I don't know if we necessarily need the first sentence.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So
too.
that's part of explanatory
That's what I
text
was
down
thinking.
below. With
Scott.
the question could be, shall the upper threshold requiring town meeting approval be revised from $20,000
and become a percentage, yeah.
to
Do you want to
2/10
use the percentage that we
2/10 of 1% of the operating budget?
The only thing,
Operator annual.
if you do that, you're going to have to add in something, the upper threshold of what? Because that won't be, that you won't have that first sentence. So if you start with show the upper threshold requiring town meeting approval, like we know what we're talking about right,
Right.
now with that,
Oh,
but if they
okay.
just walk into it,
Okay,
see that
okay,
ballot.
that's legitimate. So
You just have to
the
add a
upper
little bit.
threshold of, right, that's legitimate.
Funds
The upper threshold of an unanticipated expenditure.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I'm just going to quickly. So, shall the upper threshold.
And was the feedback from the public to remove that percentage amount from the question? That the 0.2%
There was no feedback.
I think that-
Everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, the board of finance thought that percentage was fine.
Right.
But
Somebody said it might be confusing.
I took it out of there thinking that it was confusing people. I thought the original, I didn't have a problem with it, but then I figured I'm too close to it.
Right.
And I wanted people, I'm getting feedback from people that aren't and who are going to be voting, so
Right.
I decided to change it. I thought this was the clearest, but now if I'm laughing because you don't know how much time I spent on that.
Yes, no, I do.
I just thought to myself, we started on question 4, we're going to be on this for quite a while if we're trying to get there, but that's okay. So,
All right. Let me. I pulled this from 2 sections. Shall the upper threshold of an unanticipated expenditure requiring town meeting approval be revised from $20,000 to 0.2% of the most recently adopted budget?
that sounds good to me.
That sounds
That-
very
that-
understandable.
clear.
Sounds
And I
That's
think-
concise and
Yes,
it's
I like
very,
that.
2%.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, that's not much. People might not think that. How much?
like it,
0.2%.
though. I like it.
Yeah.
And so then in the explanatory
Because that's
text,
what I got out of the,
Yep.
when you presented
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I-
yeah.
That's like, yeah, I get that.
I'll take
Yeah.
that once you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yep.
I mean, those are your words. We just condensed.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
work.
Yeah.
But they've been in different sequences
Yeah.
also.
Sometimes you have to take a step
And
back.
some of them they were at the end of the sentence, some of them they were at the beginning.
Nice work.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay. Can you read my writing?
I can read you writing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So with that change, the letter has to change,
Yep.
right?
Yep. It ripples through, yeah, everything, yep. And the text below it has to change too, so.
Well, I don't know if the text below it.
Well, the
needs to
question
change.
it begins with the question, so,
So,
but that's fine.
And at one point, you put in the most recent budget and gave the example of what the upper limit would be.
Less than 100
did you
grand, right?
decided to take that out? Because I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah,
It's an example.
I have versions of it.
yeah, I think you should keep the example in there.
Yeah, I will.
This was like, what, 90 grand or?
80 something.
You want that in there, an example? Okay.
Yeah, because you, at the end, the suggested formula would determine the upper limit by taking 2/10, and then you have of the most recent adopted budget, put that amount in, and
All right.
give what the example is.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
I have all the versions of changes, so I'll just go back to that version.
And I'm just thinking of that English teacher who kept saying, you got to make it clear.
Yeah.
You have to make it clear. And I think somebody said to keep, or that example that you said, I think somebody
No, I
said
like
to leave
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Especially for those people who don't know math, that might just then say, okay, that's 80 versus 20,000. That's, yeah.
Are we good with question 1? I'm methodical. I guess.
No, I like
Yeah.
that too. I get mixed up when Yeah, I think the big point I heard was that we need to make sure we write higher in there, and you have. So I think
Yeah.
that's good.
Should you put hired in
Yeah.
the question?
Yeah. Yep.
So like an
Yeah,
appointed,
hired, appointed,
an appointed
Become- yeah.
parentheses
Parentheses,
hired,
hired,
close
yeah.
parentheses.
Yeah.
Or higher maybe than appointed? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Maybe eliminate appointed
I-
completely
completely.
and just say high, because that seemed to be
No,
a theme.
it becomes an appointed
Yeah.
position.
Right.
Right.
And you have to report it to the Secretary of
Right.
State as an appointed position. So it is appointed,
Right.
Paid.
but you
appointed.
do hire and appoint. That's the process.
Right.
Okay. So what do? You
Maybe
just
put higher and
parentheses
appointed.
hired or just
Hired and appointed.
Hired,
Hired and appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely
Or-
have to use hired.
You need to put hired in there because nobody's going to read the next. Yeah.
Just down in the explanatory text, it does say it's hired
Be
based on
hired.
qualifications and expertise, appointed by a panel who recommends the hiring
Some people don't
and
read
reports
the
to the Board of
details.
Selectmen. So that's the process. But that's what's explained in
Right.
in the explanatory
But some
text. So if
people-
you want to say hired and appointed,
Could you do hired /
I
appointed?
would-
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because
Yeah.
you know what? If you look at that, you're right, Mike. It does say that, but the
Yeah.
first it says yes, and then it goes into the start explanation and become an appointed
Yep, that's
position.
fine.
So
That's
maybe
fine.
hired.
Yeah,
So it'd
because
be-
someone might be turned off by appointed right away and not
Yeah.
even read
Well,
the
they were. We got that
explanatory text.
feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
So become a hired / appointed.
I just think that would be clarifying things to people.
Yeah.
That's-
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else on 1? Looks good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So we got that correction or that change. On 2,
Same concept. It's already in there though, so it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but not in the question itself.
Yeah, if a
No,
hired
but they're
appointed.
I
telling
thought
you.
you'd get more pushback.
Pardon me?
I thought you'd get more pushback.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you had the hardest subject personally.
I felt as though I was stopped probably about 8 or 9 times. Mostly when I was going to the store, just people just coming up to me. Some people I knew, some people I didn't know, and virtually 90 to 1 said, "Don't want it.
Oh, don't want it?
Yeah.
Don't want it."
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Well, I was well done.
well, that's why I felt as though I think it was
Well
more of a charged question. I just felt as though we had to be a little more.
After
right,
your
wrong, or different.
presentation, they said.
Oh no,
Oh,
this
no,
is part
just-
of this.
just-
Oh, no, over the last couple of months. I'm sorry,
Oh,
guys.
okay.
No, over the last couple of months.
I thought it was
My apologies. No. Over the last couple of months,
Okay.
periodically, I remember people
There were
talking
9
about.
people there.
So maybe if they listen to you, they
Yeah.
Yeah.
feel different.
Right.
Really. don't know, I just thought.
You know what it is? I just think we did it correctly. We got the facts out there from what we did our due diligence, and
Just
people make their own
the
decisions.
results of the last referendum, it was by far the one that was accepted.
Yeah.
The votes were very much in favor of it.
Well, let's hope we get that again.
Time
Yeah.
will tell.
Yeah. So on this one, are we wanting to put the word
Hire,
hire?
yes.
So like
Yep.
shall the Board of Selectmen hire/appoint a town administrator? So we've got
It's not a
this.
bad idea.
Yeah,
Might as well
I
keep them-
think you need
keep
to-
them
yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the question that was asked last time?
Yeah, it wasn't quite the way we wanted it worded, but
Okay,
I think he had presented it.
that sounds. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
it consistent between
Mhm.
question 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's this total of 3 pages,
Yeah, it's new.
all a lot of
Wherever
new-
you
Yeah.
see a point, like under 4-6 on the next page, should we always put hired like, with the word appoint or no?
Now, this is the wording in the charter
charter, so
itself,
we
so
don't
I
have
don't,
to?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
That's not the explanatory text.
Yeah.
sorry.
But I mean, that higher point runs through the first few
Yeah, no, it's
sentences.
fine. I
Right.
That you have to have in all of that, yeah.
Right.
In the charter, it's people who know.
Yeah, no, I.
the
yeah.
charter
that
is the
adheres it,
charter.
Right, the charter.
Everyone good with 2? Okay, number 3, question 3. Mr. Parks,
I
you
liked
happy
it.
with this?
I liked it. I honestly thought, other than Ralph Williams, there was very little resistance to it.
Yeah.
And I think he's got his own
Agenda.
reasons
Yes.
that are personal to him.
Mhm.
But I didn't feel the crowd itself was.
No. No, I thought you did a good job
They did a
explaining
good
it
job.
to
Yeah, I
everybody.
thought everyone did a very good job.
Okay. We're good with that. Number 4, we already talked about, so we're going to change to the new wording the question, right? So this is all changing. Okay, and then we're good with the explanatory text.
And then we're going to put the example back in
Right.
there
Yes.
to show the calculation. So that it's going to be like $82,000 or $3,000 or whatever. Yeah.
It just makes it tangible, I
Yeah.
think, when
Yeah.
you have that.
Sounds good.
I heard from some person that they don't really like the percentage idea, but I think they don't understand it and what the impact really would be. So I think you need to put that in there.
Yep.
I like how you clarified that it's up to that limit, and then 6-7A, the cumulative amount
Where's that one?
under the charter revision changes.
Yeah.
6.7.
Yeah, no, that's important.
Yeah.
I think people
Yeah.
probably thought
Yeah.
it's 80,000
Every time.
every time. So to have that there,
Right.
is-
And somebody did.
Yeah.
That I was talking to him, like, no.
Okay. Are we good with 4? Anyone else?
I guess that makes me think, though. So should that also be stated in the explanatory text?
What do you want me to state?
It's a cumulative amount.
The last sentence that you have here,
I-
when the cumulative amount of all such appropriations or transfers exceeds, put that also in the explanatory text.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because again, people might not read the charter revision changes, but
Yep, okay.
Right. So it's taking the last sentence of section 67A, when the cumulative amount of all such appropriations or transfer
Yep,
exceeds
yep.
the limit within a fiscal year,
Yep.
any other transfers or such appropriations must be approved at a town meeting.
Yep.
So that we'll add that at the bottom of the explanatory text.
Yep.
Because it took even me a while to figure it out, not a math.
You know, those were done in two separate times, and they didn't mesh together. And
Yeah.
that's a good catch.
Okay. Great.
again, I know people don't read everything either, so it's like,
Yeah.
You good with 4? Go on to 5.
And I thought you did a good job with that.
Yeah, I think it's
especially since you didn't
I think
remember
even though, well, I mean, it made sense.
okay. I appreciate that feedback.
And I don't think there was any pushback.
No.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah. I think people were worn down at that point.
Number 5 looks pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Then in the letter, we have the other recommendation for the registrar of voters to 4 years from 2. And that would complete both documents. So let me recap for the group and for Mike, because then I'm going to probably hand this over to Mike. Because what I hope we can do is, with these changes that we're going to have Mike put into the document, we're going to approve it tonight with these changes, and then so that it gets forwarded to the Board of Selectmen. Okay? So what I have is on the letter, on the draft report, and the explanatory text ballot questions. Question 1, we're changing the question. We're adding in a hired/appointed in place of an appointed. That's the one change on both documents. On the call it a letter, and then on the draft of explanatory text. And then on question 2, the change is change in the ballot question, change the word appoint to hire/appoint. That would be on both documents.
Yeah, it's in the past tense in the first question. It's in the present tense in the second. But that's why we're going to leave it that way. I mean, I don't.
Could you do?
They have appointed rather than elected, and then they have appoint administrator. So it'll be hire, appoint for number 2. It'll be
But I think part of
hired,
it-
appointed.
I think part of it's because it's a change, become, from something to something, so that's why.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Yeah. Okay, and then on question 3, nothing, no changes in your document. Right. Question 4, we're going to substitute the entire question to what Mike has on the sheet of paper.
Yes.
That would be on both documents. And we're going to add in on the explanatory text language of what 0.2% amounts to, and the new sentence of when the cumulative amount of all such appropriations, ... So that would be added to both documents. And again, no changes to 5. And no changes to the other recommendations. Sound like we're all in agreement? So we should have a final vote, right?
Yeah. Do we need this one? Can we just, I don't think we need. Is it as a resolution, or is
I don't
it?
think it's a,
Yeah.
is it a resolution?
No, I think
No,
we're in
let's
agreement.
just
Yeah.
say. So let's have someone make a motion to approve the draft report and draft explanatory text and local ballot questions as amended or as discussed this evening as our final documents. By Tom, seconded by Catherine. Discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. Okay.
Spark.
That completes item 8, discussion resolution approval of the final draft report. Commission member comments. Well, let's, before we go to commission member comments, so I'm assuming essentially we met our charge. Tomorrow, Mike, you'll draft this up.
I'll
and
probably
send
do it tonight. Tomorrow's a holiday for us.
Do it tonight before midnight and push email send. And if you could say, just send it. No, I think our charge said it gets submitted to the town clerk. So if you could email the 2 documents to Dave.
Who do you want me to mail it to? Dave?
Dave,
Or to
right?
Karen to Dave?
Karen.
Karen and
Karen.
Dave, right?
Yeah.
And with the
And-
rest of us in copy, saying,
And Tim Keeney, though.
yeah.
Karen will send you the copies because when I send them out, I always get kicked back.
Yeah.
Sometimes on Tom, most times on John.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten many from you lately.
But I don't get anything
Oh,
from you.
okay. All right.
Your
No
family
paper
recruited me
That
to
question.
She's getting soccer notifications from her son.
I'm getting all your family stuff.
So you don't have a block on the last name.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's formally to the Board of Selectmen, so it should be sent to them
Yeah,
as
'cause-
well.
Yeah, I would copy in.
All 3 selectmen.
I'll
Yeah.
copy everybody.
I said, what the
Yeah.
hell? Just copy everyone. That's what I would do at this stage.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What do you have to lose? Just send it to me.
Yeah, so.
That way you made the time frame.
Okay. Yeah, we did. All right, commission member comments. Anyone?
This was a learning experience, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, a good crash course in local government.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
So it's been great working with all of you on this and learning with and from you.
Yeah, same here, getting to know you all too.
Yeah. Scott, I thought you did an amazing job as chair. Very clear in the communications and the work, and you made sure
Guys are-
everybody had a voice.
You're easy. You're so easy to be a part of. It's like I've been on groups where it's like they didn't want to sit down next to each other. So
That's true.
over time.
I feel like a group hug's coming. I'm not sure.
I have some tears.
No, you know what? I think everyone worked really well together. And even for disagreements on things, I think people would just, we would just throw it out there and everyone would just kind of work it out. So
I think part of it is we had a short time, a lot to do. There was no dilly-dallying. It was
Yes.
just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And that's what we started off with. We thought, okay, this is why we have to keep it simple, try to get this done, and I think we did what we were tasked to do, without a doubt. And hit the time frame, which was pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that's-
Considering
Yes.
government, right?
Did we think we'd hit the time frame?
I wasn't 100% sure now.
When we met like back in February,
Even last
right?
month.
Yeah.
Even last month was.
So we're not disbanded because this document then goes to the Board of Selectmen. They have some deadlines to meet, they may kick something back to us too.
Yep.
So we
And
stand
then
up there ready.
it's at 2 points, before the public meeting and after the public meeting, they may kick something back to us.
Yeah.
But the moment they accept it,
Right.
we're disbanded.
So once then, when we find out when they may, I'm not sure, do they present, does this need to be presented to them at a Board of Selectmen meeting?
Yeah, we could do that. If they
They're
want
meeting
that.
next Wednesday.
Okay,
They got changed.
Well, they have it for that, so obviously.
Yeah.
right. So if we get on their agenda next Wednesday, I'm around. Yeah. But it would be nice that whoever's available, that we've done this all as a committee. So if the whole group can come together and make the presentation, I don't think it's going to be a rehash of what we did at the public hearing, but we're available for questions if they have questions. Okay.
Can I say one other thing? I want to say, Karen, she did a wonderful job.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you drew the short straw. My guess is you probably did in this one. But you did great, and we really appreciate everything.
No, thank you.
And Mike also, I mean, you
Yeah,
did a lot
Mike,
more
yeah.
work.
Thank you.
no.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did a lot. A lot of work.
Appreciate
Mike.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it helps to understand the thing,
Absolutely.
whereas it takes time for everybody to get up to speed on it. So, and I've seen other charter commissions, and so I had an advantage there. So, yeah,
Well, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes,
No,
much
thank you. That was
appreciated.
very helpful.
thank you.
Very good. All right. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So
By
moved.
Tom, seconded by Mike at 6:39. We are adjourned.
Wow.
I was like, I might not be out till 8. You stay there at baseball until I get out of here. Wait, what's the law?